boxing, and I'm back in the building. Shout out to the WBC. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. So I just saw Blue Blood Sports TV video. Shout out to Blue Blood. And he was talking about the WBC, Dillian Whyte, Luis Ortiz, and Dominic Breazeale situation. All of these guys, and who will have the opportunity to fight for the WBC title at heavyweight. Now, I understand how things can come off to be inconsistent. I understand how, things can seem pretty confusing. And so basically, a quick summary of the scenario is the mandatory for the WBC heavyweight title is Dominic Breazeale. But the number one ranked guy is Dillian Whyte. Now, some people may say this is confusing, that doesn't make sense. Now, me personally, I've read the WBC rulebook, and the WBC has two things in there that definitely stood out to me when it comes to, ranking these fights. One is being, just because you're ranked number one does not mean you're the mandatory. That's in their rulebook. So, meaning, if you're in the top, let's just say you're in the top 4, for example, the WBC can decide which one of those guys out of the top 4 becomes the mandatory. So it's more of you reach a certain point in the ranking system, your ranking position doesn't necessarily matter. It becomes a lottery system where the WBC can decide on who's the mandatory. The second thing that stands out in their rule book and can definitely affect everything in its entirety is the WBC holds an option to make whatever decision they want for the best interest in boxing. Now, some people may say it's shady. I agree. Yes, it is. But in this situation, it seems like Mauricio Suleiman is considering making Luis Ortiz versus Dillian Whyte a final eliminator for Deontay Wilder's belt. Seems like to me pushing aside Dominic Breazeale. Now, let's put some things into perspective. Would I rather for Dominic Breazeale to face Deontay Wilder right now, or would I rather see Luis Ortiz and Dillian Whyte fight and the winner face Deontay Wilder? Let's just say hypothetically Deontay Wilder beats Tyson Fury, something I believe that will happen. The best interest of boxing, put in a position where the best fight the best. If Dillian Whyte can beat Luis Ortiz, the guy that has given Wilder the toughest fight of his life, I truly believe that he deserves a shot at Deontay Wilder's belt over Dominic Breazeale. Yes, I understand that Dominic Breazeale is a mandatory, but I truly like unification trumps mandatory. I feel like if you can beat Luis Ortiz, that should trump a mandatory spot. And for the best interest in boxing, if this is the only circumstance that Dillian Whyte will face Luis Ortiz is if he can become the mandatory, I feel like that is in the best interest of boxing. I just feel like even though Dominic Breazeale, he comes to fight, I'd rather see Deontay Wilder rematch with Luis Ortiz, or Deontay Wilder beat the hell out of Dillian Whyte. Now, this is where it gets funny because it all starts to connect. If Luis Ortiz and Dillian Whyte, they fight, my expectation is for Luis Ortiz to win. What does that do for the heavyweight division? It takes away Dillian Whyte being an option for AJ in April, which is great because it puts more pressure on AJ to face Deontay Wilder and we'll have an undisputed heavyweight champion. Or if Dillian Whyte is to beat Luis Ortiz, he's going to do all of that, and he'll get a shot at Deontay Wilder finally. Once again, if the WBC orders that fight, and if I'm Deontay Wilder, I'm telling the WBC, I want to order this fight for April. Basically, counter programming what AJ already has planned for Wembley. If the WBC abides with Deontay Wilder's wishes, make him fight his mandatory April 2019. It's either A, Dillian Whyte is going to screw up his opportunity with the WBC, or he's going to take that WBC fight and leaving Anthony Joshua somewhere out in the dark, unless it's the position where Anthony Joshua's like, no, I want to fight Deontay Wilder in April. And you have those two fighting. Those two Eddie Hearn fighters, you know, they're going back and forth on who's going to face Deontay Wilder. I feel like when you look at this on a higher level, all of this is definitely in the best interest of boxing. I mean, it may sound fucked up to some people. It may suck for Dominic Brazil, but if we look at it from this perspective, it puts us in a position where we can have an undisputed heavyweight champion. And boxing is a great sport when we have one top guy, the baddest man on the planet in the heavyweight division. Hey man, WBC, go ahead and make that move. Finally do something right, because I feel like this is the move that will put the fans in a position where we can know who's the #1 heavyweight. It's Nino Brown Boxing. Shout out to LDBC, and I'm out.